Hey everybody, it's a week later and now it's time to put the Racelands in my WRX. So if you haven't seen it and you're interested, I have an unboxing video of these. You can go check that out and see what comes in the box when you get them. And yeah, so I'm going to start with the fronts. I'm going to get my car pulled in, jacked up, and we'll just start with the process and you'll see what it takes to put these in and how they look when they're done. Alright, so I got the car jacked up in the front, I got the wheels off, and now we can take the struts out. And this is what you got to take off to get your struts out. Okay, first thing you're going to do is take this bolt out for your brake line. Then you're going to come over here and take this little connector off. And you're going to take your two nuts off of these bolts from this side. And then your lower portion will be done. Okay, let's pop the hood so you can see where the last three bolts are. And your other bolts are going to be right here. Take those three out and then your whole strut should be able to come right off. Okay, now I'm going to bang out the two bolts with a little hammer, and then that should release the lower part of the strut. I'm going to take these nuts off the strut tower. Okay, for the last bolt, hold on to your strut so it doesn't drop. You can take the strut out now. There it is. Let's put the new one in. Alright guys, so use your OEM strut as a reference for how to adjust your coilover to begin with. Just kind of set it to the same and then you can put it on the car and then adjust it from there and make all your measurements. Make sure you measure so that everything is the same. Alright guys, one thing to look at is that these are 13 millimeter socket bolts. So your 12 millimeter that you took the original strut out with will not work. Those are 12s. The Racelands are 13, so just be aware of that. So I got them in. Got all the bolts just about back in. And then I'll go work on the other side. Alright guys, so when you're doing your preload, Raceland suggests that your preload is the gap of the spanner wrench from when the spring is loose. So just run it up until you feel like there's no more slop in the spring but it's still loose. Make sure your locking perch is there, and then you're going to compress the spring the thickness of your spanner wrench. Have it. So I'm going to raise up my locking perch and I'm going to lock those together. Alright, now let's put in the other side. So when you're adjusting and you want to lower it down, all you have to do is measure your distance in between here, and I'm going for 1 inch in between these collars here. So all you have to do is loosen it up from here, measure it out where you want from these locking collars up here, and then you turn the whole thing down. You just keep going until you reach the point where you can lock it. So I'm going to measure. Looks like I'm at 1 inch. Maybe a little bit lower. Let's see. Right there's my inch. So I'm going to lower it down a little bit more and then lock it and then put the wheel back on. Alright guys, so with that 1 inch spacing, that's the gap you're looking at. It's got a little bit of settling to do. So I'm just going to leave it at like that for a while and let the front settle. And if I need to adjust it any more from there, I will. So it's super late. I'm just going to start up on the backs tomorrow. Alright, so I got the fronts pretty much on now, moving on to the back. So let's pop the trunk. And you're going to have to start taking this piece off right here. And then you'll take your little carpets off of the side. There and there. So you got to take these 3 clips out of your trunk. Starting with right here. 1, 2, and 3. Then you're going to have to take your carpet out on the side, and there's some clips on the side there. There's one. There's one there, one up there, and then there's one up on top here that you'll have to get. I forgot to mention that there's a clip right here too, towards the right next to your tail light. Alright, when you got all your covers out, here's your 2 bolts for the top of your struts for the rears. There's your bolts for the back left rear. To get these off, you'll need a 14mm socket. Since I got the fronts on, and now the car's lower than it was, my jack doesn't fit and I'm resorting to using the old trusty scissor jack. So let's get my lugs all loosened up. Pull it up.
Oh, that and there.
Do the last one. Do the last.
My gosh.
Alright, now that I got the wheel off, I'm going to start by taking off the bolt holding in the rear end link. And then I'm going to take the rear bolt out holding in the bottom of the strut. So now I'm going to take out the 17mm bolts for the lower end of the strut. Okay, I got the bolts out here. The top bolts are loose in the strut, and now I'm going to take the bolts out, and then we can drop the whole strut out of here and put the new one in. It is out. Okay, before I put this into the back, I'm going to unscrew this as far as I can, and I'm going to put anti-seize on the threads. Make sure you pick some of this up so that it doesn't get all locked up. Alright, when you put your anti-seize on, you don't need to fill the whole thing with anti-seize. Just a line down will do ya. I'll run this up and it'll rub it into all the threads. And then what I'm going to do to get this into the rear, I'm pretty much going to drop this as far as I can so that it's easiest to get it in. And once I have everything bolted back up, I'll adjust the height. Alright, so I got all the struts in, I got the trunk liner all back in, so let's pull the car out and take a look at how it looks.